There were 4 of us. Me, my cousin Riley, his girlfriend Monica, and our friend Tyler. We were all in our early 20s, burned out from work or school and craving a weekend off the grid. No phones, no Wi-Fi, no noise. Just trees, cold beer, and stories by the fire. Riley picked the location. He had found it online, a stretch of national forest land up in Northern California, deep enough that we wouldn't see another soul for miles. Perfect, he said. Untouched nature. Something pure. None of us had any real camping experience, but we figured that didn't matter. We left early Friday morning and made good time. The paved roads turned to gravel, then to dirt. Eventually, we arrived at the ranger station, a squat wooden building surrounded by tall pine trees. Inside, a single ranger sat behind the counter, his namatag Red Fletcher. He was older, maybe in his 60s, with sun-damaged skin and silver hair poking out from under his cap. He barely looked up until we asked him to mark the best trails for overnight camping. "You staying out there overnight?" he asked. We nodded. He sighed and pulled out a printed map, pointing toward the river. Then his finger stopped. "Whatever you do," he said, "stay away from Post 47. There was a long silence. "Why?" Monica asked, grinning. The ranger's expression didn't change. "It's not safe." "What's out there?" Tyler asked, smirking. "Bears, cougars." Fletcher leaned forward. "Just don't camp near it. If you pass Post 45, turn around." We all exchanged a look, trying to read whether he was serious. His tone hadn't changed. He wasn't trying to scare us. He looked tired, like he'd given this warning too many times to people who didn't listen. Outside, Riley rolled his eyes. "Dudes, just trying to spook the tourists." "Think it's some local legend?" Monica asked. "Probably wants to keep the good spots to himself," Tyler added. No one argued. So we kept driving, through the trees, up into higher ground. The posts were old wooden markers nailed to trees. We passed Post 42, then 44, then 45. When we finally saw the sign for 47, it was half hidden by ivy and cracked nearly down the middle. Something about it felt off. The wood was deeply gouged in several places, like it had been attacked by something with claws. We ignored that, too. The clearing nearby was beautiful, with a patch of level ground for tents and a soft breeze whispering through the branches. The river was close enough that we could hear it rushing in the distance, but we couldn't see it through the trees. We set up camp, 2 tents, a fire pit, a cooler full of snacks and cheap beer. As night came, we passed the time telling stories, roasting marshmallows, laughing more than we probably should have. Everything felt normal until the laughter stopped. I don't remember what caused it. Maybe it was the silence that settled in between us. Not the kind you get in the woods at night. This was deeper. Still, no wind, no crickets, just us and the crackle of the fire. Something about that stillness felt wrong, like the forest was listening. When I glanced toward the trees, I saw a shadow that didn't belong to any of us. It stood perfectly still, upright, and for a moment, I was certain it was watching us. Then it was gone. I told myself I imagined it, that the firelight had played tricks on my eyes. That's what I wanted to believe. Eventually, we put the fire out and crawled into our tents. The air was colder than we expected. I wrapped myself in 2 layers and still couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Somewhere out there, just beyond the tree line, I heard movement. Not leaves or wind. Something heavier, and then water. Not the peaceful rush of the river we'd heard earlier. This was faster, violent, like a sudden flood. I sat up, heart racing. I checked my phone. No signal. Battery still full. The screen displayed one thing: 3:13 a.m. I woke up with the sense that something had changed. The air inside the tent felt damp, heavy in my lungs. The sunlight, bleeding through the nylon walls, looked wrong, muted and gray. When I stepped outside, the trees around our camp didn't look the same. Tyler stood near the dead fire, arms crossed. His eyes were bloodshot. "Did you hear anything last night?" I asked. He nodded, but didn't say anything at first. It sounded like water, rushing fast, but it was close, too close, like it was right under us. That made no sense. The river was at least 100 yards away. It had never sounded like that before. Riley and Monica emerged a few minutes later. We all tried to pretend nothing was wrong, but the energy between us had shifted. Everyone moved faster, more deliberately. The fun of camping was gone. We packed quickly and tried to head back the way we came. That's when the real fear started. The path we'd taken up the day before, the trail marked by footprints, broken twigs, and distant views of the river, was missing. Not overgrown, not hard to find. Gone. We checked our phones again. No signal. Riley's GPS device didn't even power on. It had been fully charged the day before. When he opened the battery case, the screen flickered and died. Fried, we chose a direction and walked. It didn't matter which. Put distance between ourselves and Post 47. We passed a tree with a long spiral symbol carved deep into the bark. None of us said anything. An hour later, we passed it again. We had gone in a circle. Monica suggested splitting up to find the right path. Tyler and I shot that idea down immediately. We changed direction and walked again. A few more hours passed. We started seeing other signs markings on rocks, stacks of bones laid neatly beneath tree roots. A deer skull wedged in the crook of a branch. Still no trail, no road. Just the forest tightening around us like a noose. Then we saw it. Another post 47. New, clean, freshly painted numbers, planted straight into the ground, standing in the middle of a small open space, surrounded by trees that leaned inward unnaturally. It was not the same post we saw yesterday. This one was waiting for us. We kept walking. At this point, none of us were speaking. Tension hung over the group like fog. That night, we made camp again. Nobody joked. Nobody drank. We barely ate. We sat in silence around a fire that didn't want to stay lit. Later, while trying to sleep, I heard someone whispering outside the tents. I unzipped mine slightly and saw Monica crouched near the edge of the fire pit, staring into the woods. She didn't move. Her hands rested on her knees. She was barefoot, Monica. I called softly. She didn't respond. I stepped out and walked closer. She turned her head slowly. Her eyes didn't focus on me right away. She looked through me. I thought I heard someone calling me, she said finally. It sounded like Tyler. Tyler was asleep, still in his tent. I checked. The next morning, Monica didn't remember going outside. She said she never left the tent. She looked pale. Her voice was flat. We decided to move again. Shortly after packing up, we found a tree with 4 names carved into it. Ours. Above them was a jagged, eye-like symbol. I didn't tell the others. Maybe one of them did it as a joke, I thought, but deep down, I didn't believe that. Later that afternoon, while hiking uphill, Monica vanished. One moment, she was ahead of us on the trail, maybe 20 feet. Then we blinked and she was gone. No sound, no scream, no sign of struggle. We searched for hours, called her name until our voices cracked. She didn't answer. That night, Riley snapped. He started arguing with Tyler, accusing him of being too quiet, too suspicious. He demanded to know what Tyler saw. Tyler shouted back, swearing that he had nothing to do with any of it. I stayed out of it. I sat near the fire, watching the darkness beyond the flames. It felt like something was waiting just out of sight. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to silence again, and we were one less. Tyler's tent was empty. Riley and I stared at it for a long time, then looked at each other. We didn't say anything. It was just the two of us now. Riley didn't talk much. He walked ahead of me, shoulders stiff, like he was trying to hold himself together by force. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words died in my throat. We walked for what felt like hours. Then we saw it again. The post. The original post, 47, old, weather-worn, split down the center. The same one the ranger had warned us about. But now, there was something else. A figure stood next to it. It faced away from us, tall and thin, almost motionless. Riley kept going. He didn't look at the figure. He didn't even acknowledge it. He just passed the post and disappeared into the trees. I followed a few minutes later, heart pounding, scanning the forest for movement. But Riley was gone. No voice, no trail, just me. I circled the post 3 times before I gave up. The figure was gone too. I sat down near the base of the post, exhausted. Then I saw its names etched into the wood. Tyler, Monica, Riley. A blank space remained. I knew what it meant. I stayed there, waiting. I don't know how long I've been here. Time feels broken. Sometimes I hear voices mine. There's others I don't recognize. Sometimes the wind carries whispers I can't quite understand. The forest never sleeps. If you ever come here, if you ever see Post 47, turn around. Don't explore. Don't look too long. Don't call out to anything that sounds familiar. Because something has to stay. And if you don't leave in time, that something will be you.